Ladies and gentlemen, Algeria Model United Nations delegates, welcome in training session number 1. I know by now you've been all waiting for this training session and we are a bit late. We do really apologize for the delay, and what is more important that we are here today to explain everything to you in details. I know that, I've been receiving a lot of emails and messages from a lot of delegates asking about Model United Nation, about position paper and a lot of other things. So that's why today we will make sure to explain everything in details to you, to make sure you understand what Model United Nation Conference is and what is expected from you as delegates, and what should you include in your position papers, because this question I've been receiving it for a very long time and I know a lot of you are lost. I personally understand it and I've been through this experience before. So that is why we will make sure that everything will be clear by the end of training session number 1, which is this. In today's agenda, we will be talking about 2 things. And this training session is gonna be a bit long because we will be tackling 2 important issues in a Model United Nations conference. The first thing that we will be talking about is Model United Nations, because a lot of you have applied for AlgeriaMUN because you knew that it is a chance for you to develop yourself, it is a chance for you to improve yourself, it is a platform where you can practice several skills and so on. But a lot of you, or if not most of you, don't understand what Model United Nation Conference really is. So that's the first point that we will be tackling today, and we will be explaining everything in details in Model United Nation and what we will be doing during the 4 days of the conference. The second thing that we will be talking about is position paper. I know it's confusing. I know a lot of you have no idea from where to start. I've been receiving a lot of questions, a lot of emails. So today, in the second part, we will be talking about position paper. What is position paper? Why is it so important? Why position paper will make the whole difference during the conference? How can you prepare a good position paper? What are the things that you should take in consideration, the structure, and a lot of other things that we will be talking about in the second part of this training session. Before we start, before we go to part number 1, I have a couple of announcements to share with you. Please listen carefully and please apply them, because they will make our lives so much easier and they will help all the conference to go as it's supposed to go. First of all, I've got a very good news for you. We have extended the deadline of submitting a position paper. It's not gonna be on November 9th, but the new deadline is gonna be November 12th, which is gonna be 3 days after the previous deadline. November 12th at 8 p.m. is gonna be the new deadline of submitting the position paper. Another thing, and this will be shared with you again. Once you're done with your position paper, send it to your dais, send it to your chair and director, and then we will take it from there. Don't send it to AlgeriaMUN email, but send it to your dais, and they are responsible of reviewing it and giving you feedback and so on. Send it to your dais. Another thing is, please, and this is the last time I'm gonna mention it, if anyone is not on the Facebook group of your committee, join now. By 24 hours from submitting this training session, if you're not in the Facebook group of your committee and the Facebook group of all delegates, you will be excluded from the conference. And we've been facing a lot of issues concerning accepting every single one in the committees, because the Facebook accounts, the name of the Facebook accounts are very different and they are very weird, and we couldn't know who is who. And yeah, so please, if you have a different Facebook account or you have a very weird name on your Facebook account, please send us a message, tell us this and this, and I represent this, please accept me. And we will make sure to accept you on time, because a lot of news will be shared in the groups, and if you're not in the group, you won't be in the conference. As simple as that. Another point is there will be a post on the AlgeriaMUN Delegates group, the big one, where you can ask anything you want, and I will make sure to reply to every single one of you. If you have any question, of course, review the guides, watch the video, and then start asking questions, because that's how it works, you know. There will be a post where you will comment all your questions, all your concerns. If you have anything not clear, ask it, and I will make sure to answer every single question. All right, and now let's get started with the actual training session with part number 1, which is what is Model United Nation. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting, so try to focus, try to listen carefully, and try to write down all the questions that you have, and then post them in the comments, and I will make sure to answer them all. But try to focus, try to concentrate, and we will make this happen. All right, you ready? All right, let's do this. So a Model United Nations conference, or Model United Nations in general, it is a simulation of United Nations, meaning what we will be doing during the conference is exactly what usually happen in United Nations. So in United Nations, what usually happens, let's take United Nations Security Council, which is one of the committees, as an example, and you can apply it on all the other committees. In United Nations, there are 15 delegations, 15 people who represent 15 different countries. They meet in one room for I don't know how much time, discussing one specific topic. And that's exactly what we do in Model United Nations. We have several committees. Every committee has a specific topic, and every committee has a list of countries or list of delegations. That's exactly what happens in United Nations. Going back to our example, the United Nations Security Council Committee. So we have 15 delegates, 15 delegations of 15 different countries. They meet to discuss one specific topic. The reason why they meet to discuss that specific topic is by the end of the meeting, they are expected to reach a solution. So the topic that they discuss is something that is extremely important, and they are expected as representatives of their countries to end up with a resolution. For example, in our case, in Algeria Model United Nation, in Security Council, we will be discussing the crisis in Yemen. So what is expected from delegates by the end of the conference is to reach a solution or a resolution. To reach a resolution. But the question is, how can we reach a common resolution? Because what the United States of America wants is not what Russia wants, and what China wants is not what Kenya wants, for example. There are a lot of different interests, and every country wants the best for its people and its politics, and we have a lot of clashes. We have a lot of clashes, and we have a lot of allies, and that's why we have a lot of blocks and so on. And that is why Algeria Model United Nation and Model United Nations in general challenge your ability of communication, of debating, of convincing the other, and of how you can be diplomatic in dealing with other, because we're not gonna stand up and throw chairs on each other, but we will be talking in a diplomatic way. We will be communicating, we'll be listening to each other, we'll be debating, we'll be trying to convince everyone, and so on. So at the end of the day, we will reach a resolution that suits the majority, and I will explain how the process would go and how we will reach that resolution. But that's what you should understand. The whole point from Model United Nations Conference and the whole point from United Nations meeting is to reach a resolution at the end, because we are discussing a very sensitive topic, a very important topic, and what is expected from United Nations is to reach a resolution. I think this is clear by now. So the conference is gonna be 4 days, and in these 4 days, let's divide it to 3 parts. And in the next training session, as I said before, I will explain everything in details for you. So we have 3 parts, right? The first part, let's say, is day number 1 and half of day number 2, where we will be, let's say, getting to know each other. Not getting to know each other personally, but getting to know each other's countries and each other's countries' positions and so on. We will be delivering, and you will be delivering a lot of speeches about where your country stands, what does your country want. Very, very, very general, very in a very big picture. Day number 1 and half of day number 2, we will be talking. We will talk about some subtopics, more details about the topic, but you won't go that deeper. This is the first stage. It's more of getting to know each other, getting to know the committee, getting to know where every country stands, and so on. The second part, where a lot of clashes will happen. Let's say between the half of day number 2 until day number 3, half of day number 3. We will dig more into details, into subtopics, into a lot of things related to the topic. For example, if we are speaking about the Yemen crisis in Security Council, we will be speaking about who is responsible, whom should we blame, what can we do, and a lot of things. And here, of course, Russia wants something, the US wants something else, the United Kingdom wants something else, Algeria stands in a completely different position, and so on. And we will have a lot of countries speaking about their interests, because at the end of the day, every country wants the best for its people and its politics. So in this period of time, in this stage, we will dig more into details, and we will be speaking in details about the topic. The third stage, where we start working on the resolution. Of course, if we have Russia on one side and the US on the other side, it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to have one draft resolution or one suggested resolution, because what Russia wants is completely different than what the US wants. I'm sure you know this by now. If you don't, make sure to make a lot of research, because you need that. Mainly this is it. So every country with their allies, they will be working on their draft resolution. But this is the challenge. Let's try all together to find a common ground. Let's all try to diplomatically find what makes us all happy. And it's not that easy. Maybe it's not even doable in some cases. And this is the challenge in Model United Nation. We try to find that middle ground that suits us both. If not, we will see different draft resolution by different blocks. Let's say Russia with China having one with Iran, and the US with the United Kingdom and France having the other one. And then we will vote on one draft resolution. And all this will be discussed in details in the next training session, which is training session number 2. This is mainly Model United Nation. Once again, I'll just give you a very, very brief summary. The whole point from Model United Nation is to talk about a specific problem, a specific topic, not for the sake of talking about it, but for the sake of finding a resolution at the end and finding a solution for that problem. And what we will be doing during the whole conference is, first of all, sharing letting everyone know where our country stands, not what do we want, but where do we stand, what do we think, are we against, are we with, what have we done so far concerning the topic, and so on. Very brief. And then we move and we dig into details. We talk about subtopics. We talk about details of the topic, and there will be a lot of clashes because of that, because every country wants something different, and this is the challenge. And at the end, after digging so deep into the topic, and after talking a lot about the topic, and after covering every single angle of the topic, we will reach a point where, alright, I understand what I want, obviously, I understand what everyone's want, and we have discussed everything, the positive, the negatives, what should be done, what shouldn't be done, and everything. It is time to find a solution. And that's the point where we start negotiating about finding a solution. We start writing draft resolutions, and we will end up voting on the draft resolution that suit us the most. Very, very, very important point. And I should have said this in the beginning because it's extremely, extremely important. There is something called role play. Role play means you don't, for example, you are representing China. You don't go to the committee or to the conference and you speak about what you want personally. No, you don't do this, and the dice will make sure to punish you in a way. You are not representing yourself. Forget about yourself. You are representing China or the US or Argentina or whatever. You say what China wants. You say what Argentina wants. You say what Algeria wants. Even, for example, you love Yemen and you support Yemen and you don't want war in Yemen. Fine, but doesn't matter in the Model United Nations Conference, because if you are representing the US, you represent the US and you are an American delegate, and you say exactly what an American delegate would say in an actual conference, meaning you would support the attack on the Yemeni territory. Role play is extremely important. Make sure to forget about yourselves, forget who you are, forget what you want, forget what do you support, forget what you love, forget what you hate, and represent the country, represent the delegation of that country as it's supposed to be represented, because you will be the delegation of that country. If you are representing Algeria, you are Algerian. If you are representing Spain, you are from Spain. If you are representing Russia, you are Russian, and so on. Role play is extremely important in a Model United Nations Conference. And what you will be doing during the whole conference is representing that country and fighting for what that country wants, for what that country needs, and so on. So yeah, make sure to do that. Make sure to represent your country properly. If you are representing the US, you cannot say, okay, I love Russia, let's work with Russia. It doesn't work this way. The US doesn't work with Russia in some specific topics. You don't work with Russia. If the US doesn't like North Korea, you don't go and work with North Korea. And you don't speak to North Korean delegation like you speak to the United Kingdom's delegation. That's how it is. You make sure to understand where your country stands. Make sure to understand how your country behaves with every other country, because you cannot represent North Korea once again, and then when you start working on the resolution, you go help the United Kingdom. No, it doesn't work, and no, it shouldn't happen in Model United Nations Conference, or in Algeria Model United Nations, to be more specific. It's not gonna happen. Please, please, please don't do it. Please make research, and this is the second point I'm gonna speak about. Role play is important. Make sure to represent your country as it's supposed to be represented. I've been saying this for too long because it is extremely important. Second point, give me a second. Second point is research. Research is the key. You cannot go to a Model United Nations Conference without making research. You cannot improvise. You can at a point of time, but you cannot improvise if you don't have the background or the basics. Make a lot of research. Today is November 8th, and it will be posted, November 8th, and the conference is going to be at the end of December. Starting from today, make research. Go on Google. It's going to be your best friend. Write the topic. Try to change the words. Write the United States position towards this, and then change the words. Try to play with the words. Go to the 5th page, 6th page of Google research, 7th page, 8th page, dig and search more and more and more, because information will play a very crucial role during the conference. Because if I know more than you do in the conference, I will put you in a very bad situation, because I know more and I will be sharing a lot of information about my country and your countries, and you will be end up, okay, I've never heard about that before, and you will be put in a very bad position. Make research. Don't research only about your country. Research about the topic. Research about the background of the topic. Research about your country. Research about the background of your country. Research about the other countries. Research about your allies. Research about your enemies. Research about every single thing. Print things. Bring with you a lot of files that have everything. I will just give you an example. For example, in the previous AlgeriaMUN conference, I was in the Security Council and I was representing the Syrian Arab Republic, and the topic was the Palestinian-Israeli crisis. And what I did is, because I represent Syria and I support I'm purely against the Israeli regime or the Israeli whatever government, I printed all the resolutions that the United States used the veto power to reject them. I brought them all and I used them to attack the US and the United Kingdom and France, who are purely who support the Israeli government. And that was a very, very key point, let me say, for me to strengthen my position in the committee. And everyone knew that I know what I'm doing. I knew what I was doing, and I made enough research, and I can debate, and I can attack other delegations because I know what has been happening so far. So that's the point. Make a lot of research, because the more research you make, the more powerful you will come to the conference, and that's what you want, and that's what your country wants you to do in a model United Nations conference. All good? I think this is it when it comes to a model United Nations conference. I hope by now you have an idea about what's gonna happen. Role play and research. And I hope by now you have understood how it's gonna go. And in the next training session, I will explain in details how the flow would go. Meaning, day number 1, how do we move to discuss subtopics? How do we move to the preparing draft resolutions? And everything in details. But I hope by now you have an idea about what's gonna happen from, generally about the conference. If you have any question, please don't ask me questions about what I'm gonna explain in the next training session. Don't ask me about the details information about the flow, because I will explain it in the next training session. Make sure to read the guides. Make sure to watch this video again, and if you have any question, ask me in a comment, and I will make sure to reply and explain everything to you. And ask me whatever you want. Honestly, ask me whatever you want. If I know the question that you ask, if I know that the answer to that question would be in the next training session, I will just tell you it's going to be in the next training session. If the answer of your question is in this video, I will just tell you, go back to this video and you will find it. Ask me whatever you want, and I will make sure to explain everything in details to you. Alright, and now we move to something. I know it's been confusing for you so far, which is the position paper. Alright, the position paper is something extremely important for you. And it is, if you start good, you will end up good. If you start bad, you will be lost during the conference. And I will speak about position paper. Why is it so important? How to write a good one? The structure of the position paper, the importance once again, and the structure. Mainly this is it. The importance, the structure, and and this is it. Alright, the first one is why position paper is extremely important in a model United Nations conference. Position paper, okay, so first of all, what is position paper? Position paper is a written paper, obviously, where every delegate in one paper, or 2 maximum, tell us where your country stands, what your country wants, what your country has done so far concerning the topic. It can be 1 to 2 pages where you tell us all this. No, yes, yani you will write it, but the information, the dates, the background, it has to be brought from another credible source. I will explain. In the position paper, you will tell us where your country stands. Fine. And then you will tell us, for example, and I will explain the structure. And then you will tell us what your country has done so far concerning the topic. You cannot just tell me my country has said this and did this and this and this, and that's it. You have to tell me from where you got that information. And that leads us to a very important point: research. The first thing, before you start your position paper, sit down, write down your country. I represent whatever. I represent Morocco, for example. Okay. I represent Morocco in UNESCO. I represent Morocco in UNESCO, and this is the topic. Start making research on Google. Search. Spend 2 days non-stop searching. And every time you find a good thing, every time you find a good information or a good page or anything, save it and then review it. And have all the information, that as much as you can, of the topic and of your country and so on aside. When you have enough information, sit down to write your position paper. Why is it so important? It is so important because position paper would give you a huge step forward in understanding where your country stands, in what your country wants, in what your country has already done so far concerning the topic, and so on. And you will be using that position paper, you will be using those information during the conference. And that is why position paper is extremely important. You will be using it in the conference. You will be using it for the draft resolution. You will be using those information that you will write almost all the time. And there is, as I said before, a huge step for you to understand the position of your country. And it is for us to make sure that you have made enough research and you know where your country stands, at least the minimum, and that's it. And yeah, and another point, the position paper. Okay, so in the second edition of Algeria Model United Nation, we will be having awards for best delegates in every committee. Of course, having a good position paper will play a huge role in selecting this best delegate. So yes, put effort, write the position paper. It is extremely important, and it is necessary from every single delegate. Now the question is how to write the position paper, because that's the question I've been receiving so far, and a lot of people are lost, a lot of people are confused from where to start and so on. And I will explain to you, I will tell you the structure, and which is in the guides and in the files that we have sent you. I will just rephrase them and try to explain it in a better way. First thing that you should do, or before going to structure, there are 2 points that I would like to emphasize on. Point number 1 is, so there are some information that you don't write from your head. You have to research, and then when you write them down, you do the reference at the end. This thing was brought from this link, and try and use credible sources, the United Nations website, the Foreign Affairs Ministry of your country, and so on. These are credible sources that you should use. Use as many resources as you can. The more you use, the better. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1,000. The more you use, the better. Yeah, and the second point is make a lot of research. I know I've been emphasizing on this for too long, but it is extremely important. And the third point, I just remembered the third point, which is when you are writing a position paper, and make sure to listen to this carefully, because I don't want to see it in any position paper. You don't say, I am against this topic, or I am with this topic. No, you are not against, you are not with, because you are representing a country. We are against this, we are with this. And if you want a better way to say, you say Algeria is against Algeria is with, Russia is with, Russia suggests, Russia blah blah blah. See what I mean? Not you. It's not I think we should open the doors for refugees. No, you don't think anything because you are representing a country and you are speaking, and you are a delegate of a country. Brazil believes that. Brazil suggests that. Brazil, I don't know. Not I, once again, or you can use we. We are, we represent, we suggest, we, I don't know, we stand against, we stand with, and so far. We is fine, but if you say the name of the country, that would be more formal and that would be better. So try to use the country name. Now moving to the structure, which is the most important thing. The first thing that you should do in a position paper, of course, yani the upper part of the paper, you should write your information. What are your information? Your name, your committee, and your country. Your name, your committee, and your country. It's that simple. Name, country, Brazil, committee, UNESCO, for example. And then we move on to the position paper. The first thing that you should write, the first paragraph, because the position paper, there are paragraphs, and every paragraph is about something. They are all related to the topic, but every paragraph tackles it from different angle. The first paragraph is an introduction to the topic. You don't go directly speak about the resolution, you don't go directly speak about the previous things your country have done, but introduction to the topic. Why the topic is so important? Why are we gonna discuss this topic? Talk about this topic very briefly, 4 or 5 lines, introduction of this topic, or introduction of the position paper, generally speaking. Make sure to finish the first paragraph with a very straightforward statement. Meaning, you wrote the first paragraph, which is an introduction. Make sure to finish the paragraph with a straightforward phrase that tell us what your country position is. For example, you are done with the first paragraph, then you say, therefore, Russia stands firmly against the topic. Therefore, Therefore, Russia 100% support this. Therefore, we are ready to help this. Meaning, the end of the introduction, you finish with a straightforward statement that tell us what your country's position is. The second paragraph, in the position paper, also 4, 5, 6 lines, is a background of this topic, and the background of this topic. Talk about the topic. Talk about the previous things that happened related to the topic. If we are talking about Yemen, once again, talk about what happened, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Talk about, don't dig that deep. It's not that hard. Speak in general and try to give information. Try to give very solid information. It's a background of the topic. Third paragraph, also 4, 5, 6 lines, speak about the foreign policy. What is a foreign policy? The foreign policy is where your country stands. In the introduction, we finish with a straightforward phrase about the topic, about where your country stands towards the topic. In the third paragraph, which is foreign policy, speak about where your country stands in details. Russia stands against this because this and this and this, and we this and this and this. It's a general idea about your country's foreign policy. Very simple. Try to support everything with credible information that you can find in the internet, but don't look randomly. Don't find information in random blogs. Try to look for Foreign Affairs Ministry, the website of the Foreign Affairs, and so far the United Nations website, and so on. And in the third paragraph, as I said, you speak about your country's position towards the topic, and where you stand, and so far in details. Not in very details, but generally in details. I'm sure. I hope you understood this. If you did not, ask questions. I will be more glad to answer. Moving forward, the fourth paragraph, also 3, 4, 5 lines. You speak about the actions that you have already taken in the past towards the topic, if you have taken any. That's why research is extremely important. You cannot know what your country have done if you did not research. So research, and then in 3 or 4 paragraphs say the Russia in 2002 did this and this and this, and 2 years after that did this and this and this, and then you say from where you got the information, of course. So speak about the actions internally and externally, the actions that your country has done towards the topic. Very simple, very basic. 3, 4, 5 lines tell us about the actions of your country. The fifth point, or the fifth paragraph, tell us the resolutions, the United Nations resolutions that your country was part of. Meaning, as I said before, United Nations, they meet almost all the time to talk about different topics. If your country one day it was part of one of these meetings and they talked about something related to this topic, and of course at the end of the day they reached a resolution, tell us where your country stood. Did they vote with? Did they vote against? And tell us what resolutions your country was part of. What United Nations resolutions your country was part of. In most of cases there are some resolutions that your country participated in different modern United Nations, in different United Nations meetings. And the last point, the sixth paragraph, for 3, 4, 5 lines, speak about what your country would like to see in the future concerning the topic. What do you suggest? Not you personally, but your country. What your country suggests toward the topic. Do you want a military intervention? Do you want indeed, you don't have to go to dig that deep. Generally speaking, what your country wants, because at the end of the day we want solutions. We don't want to speak for the sake of speaking. Therefore, what do you suggest? What kind of resolutions do you suggest? And in 4 or 5 paragraphs, explain them very briefly. Once again, we have 6 paragraphs in the position paper. Paragraph number 1, an introduction. Introduction that ends the introduction, and it's just an introduction. I don't have to explain introduction because it is basic. That ends up with a very straightforward phrase that says, Russia stands firmly against this. Russia stands 100% support this, and so on. There are different ways. Try to be creative, rephrase. You don't have to be very mainstream. The second paragraph, the background of the topic. The third paragraph, the foreign policy of your country towards the topic. The fourth paragraph, the actions taken by your country towards the topic. And the fifth paragraph, the resolution, the United Nations resolution that were taken before that your country was part of. And even if your country was not part of those resolutions, or your country is very neutral and it had nothing to do with the topic, even though it had, your country was part of that, of the topic more or less, it is related. Every country is related to every topic in the world. But if your country is very, let's say you are representing Madagascar and you are talking about the Yemeni crisis and you think your country was not that involved, share with us a couple of United Nations resolutions that were taken before concerning the topic. And the last point, solutions. What do you suggest? Not you, but your country. And I hope by now you have understood this. 6 paragraphs, very simple, very brief. What you can do is, you can, to strengthen your position paper, you can share quotes of your officials, like your president one day said this and this and this. Of course, it has to be relevant, it has to be related to the topic. Your president, your minister, or whatever, you can put it somewhere in the, you can start with it, you can put it in the position paper. 6 paragraphs, very simple, very brief. Be precise and concise. Make sure to don't, there are a lot of information, don't put them all, pick the most important ones. You can rephrase all the time, you can play with the words, try to make sure to avoid mistakes, of course. If you have a friend who speaks English perfectly, or your teacher or wherever, ask them to help you to correct your mistakes and so on, because we want to avoid this, as simple as that. And you find all the information, the details information about the font that you should use, and the how big it is, what is it called, the thing, and the font that you should use. You find it all in the email that was sent and in the files that were sent to you, because there is a specific way to write the position paper. And yeah, these 6 paragraphs, precise and concise, it tells where your country stands. And I will share with you a very brief example just to tell you how important it is. In the previous edition, I was representing Syria, as I mentioned before, and at the point, because you cannot prepare, you have the information, you have prepared the information, you have digged a lot, and you have all the information about the topic, you have prepared your opening speech at the beginning, but then you don't really know where the debate would go. So you would be, you can get lost. And at the point of time, the position paper, or my position paper, was always in front of me, and I always take a couple of lines from the position paper to use it in my speeches or in my debates, or in further in the conference. It will be used by you. You will need it in the conference. It's 4 days. The position paper will help you, will always remind you where you stand, will always remind you what your country wants and what your country has done, and so far. It is important. Put as much effort as you can in writing the position paper. I really hope that this training session was useful for you, and now you know better what Model United Nations Conference is, and what is the point from all this, and how to write a position paper. I cannot write it for you. This is the best we can do, and everything else is up to you. Read the guides. They are very important. And one more thing, you can search for examples or guides of how to write a position paper in the internet, but they are not the same. Every Model United Nation in the world, they have a specific structure to follow. The whole concept is the same, but the details are different. For us, what I have just shared with you, what we have shared with you, is the structure expected from you. You can search for more information, you can search for better understanding, but don't follow their guides, because they are different in details. And even if you have participated in other Model United Nations conferences before, it is not the same. Of course the concept is the same, of course the whole point is the same, but the structure is not the same. That's why you should follow ours, because you are in our conference. Mainly this is it. Yes, and one last point. A lot of people were asking, what if the topic is not, when we speak about the Yemeni crisis, it is very sensitive, and every country has a very firm position towards the topic. But what if we are talking about the SDGs, for example, or we are talking about a humanitarian topic, where everyone agree, let's say, everyone agrees. What happens in this situation is the same. What happens is the debate won't be that hot, let me say. It's not gonna be, we won't see that many clashes, but the whole thing is gonna be the same. You say what where your country stands toward the topic. You say what have you done previously towards the topic. You say what do you suggest towards the topic, and what would be different is we won't have that many ideas or interests going against each other, because at the end of the day it is something that would benefit everyone. And even in the conference we won't have that many clashes comparing to other sensitive topics, but there will be a lot of debates because every country want to focus on something, and we will have interest clashes, not that much, but we will do have. And at the end of the day we need a resolution at the end. And yeah, maybe every country wants different resolutions, and that would lead to a lot of interesting debates, let me say. Mainly this is it. We have covered very important points in the Model United Nations Conference. We have spoken about what is Model United Nations Conference, and then we spoke about the position paper. If you have any question, if you have any concern, please write it as a comment, and I will make sure to answer. In the next training session we will speak about something called rules of procedures, which is extremely important, because that's what makes the difference between MUN conference and any other conference, because there are some behaviors, there are some ways to do things in an MUN conference. It's not random, and there are some ways to follow, and that's what we will be targeting in the next training session. I wish you nothing but best of luck. Make sure to enjoy this time. I mean, yes, it may be hectic, maybe you need to do a lot of things to make a lot of research, but enjoy it, because the more you research, the more fun the conference will be for you, and the more powerful you will be in the conference. And you don't want to be that weak delegate who has nothing, who knows nothing, and who has no idea what's going on. You want to be that delegate who knows what his country or her country wants, and everything. You need to know everything. Therefore, enjoy this time. Ask people, ask previous delegates, make research, a lot of research. And mainly this is it. I would like to thank you very much for paying attention, if you have paid attention. And if you have any question, please let me know. And I'll see you in the next training session.